Hello everyone. I wanted to jump on this live stream here on YouTube. It's been a while, almost a year, but I am here going to track these thunderstorms for you here in western South Dakota, as I am a bit concerned here about these storms, especially this one right over Rapid City right now. There is a pretty defined hook feature to it, and I would not be surprised at all here if pretty soon we get a tornado warning that becomes issued here. I want to go through all these storms here. First, this was the most intense storm for quite a while, a little bit earlier, kind of over back towards Sturgis, and there was even a report of hail of over an inch in diameter, 1.75 inches, right over Sturgis, in Sturgis, according to law enforcement on that one. But now it's still severe thunderstorm warned for now. We'll see how long that continues. But I just wanted to briefly go over this. This one is until 5:15, so another 5 minutes or so. This one, as of right now, that was a little bit ago. That was about 15-20 minutes ago. They were saying 60-mile-an-hour wind gust and quarter-sized hail. But it looks like it's weakening, so that's a good thing there. But no real immediate towns impacted by this storm either. But this is the more concerning storm to me. Much more populated area with Rapid City and areas just a little bit northeast of Rapid City. Yeah, this is definitely concerning. Let's take a look at the severe thunderstorm warning. This one really got going, and it really strengthened. And Doppler radar is picking up. I mean, you see the big hail core with this storm. And there's been already tons of hail reports coming in, up to 1.5 inches in diameter at least. But Doppler radar is indicating almost 3 inches of hail. And in fact, a little bit earlier, there was radar indicated 3-inch hail. But now it's 2.75 inches in diameter. So this is just a little bit to the north and northeast of Rapid City. But there is quite a well-defined hail core. You see that white? When you get into the white, that is big-time hail. We're talking $50, maybe even baseball-sized hail, according to Doppler radar. Now, that doesn't mean that that's what is going to happen. It's just what Doppler radar indicated, or this is what the radar is indicating for hail, for how big, maybe that could be the maximum amount. So this severe thunderstorm warning goes in effect with ping pong ball-sized hail and 60-mile-an-hour wind gust, and that was a couple of minutes ago with the new update there. So trained weather spotters actually have been reporting ping pong-sized hail with this storm. And this storm is moving east at about 15 miles per hour. So it's not moving very fast. It's not stationary, but it's moving very slowly as it progresses to the east. Rapid City, this has been concerning me for a while, since it was, kind of back over towards Blackhawk and Somerset and kind of just a little bit to the north and a little bit to the west and northwest of Rapid City. But it looks like Rapid City lucked out for the most part. Maybe a downpour is all that Rapid City got, so it mainly passed Rapid City to the northeast a little bit, which is a good thing there. But as you head towards Ashland Heights, Box Elder, might not be so fortunate. And the new radar sweep, this is a very strong thunderstorm. And it's crazy because there was only really a marginal risk of storms today in the western part of South Dakota, but that's kind of the case right now. We're seeing much more stronger storms than I think what the Weather Service and all the hardworking crew working on those maps were thinking. But this new sweep of the radar, and you could really see a well-defined hook feature to it. You can see the moisture, kind of the bright greens going to the bright reds. It's not too tight of a rotation at this point. But there is quite a bit of moisture. You can tell this brighter green, that's where we got moisture feeding into the storm. And as we go along here, we'll look at some different products. I do want to bring this up. This is vertically integrated liquid. This is a product that I like to use to showcase the hail that is in this storm. It looks like we got a pretty solid hail core. I mean, when you get into the whites, that's about as big as it gets for the radar to keep up. I mean, this is about as big of a hail core as you can get. It is a very strong thunderstorm here just to the northeast of Rapid City. And thankfully, the worst of this storm did miss the city of Rapid City. And to the northeast is kind of the most dangerous part of the storm, which is where you got this hail core over towards Ashland Heights. And I'm a little bit concerned about Box Elder, towards Box Elder. So if you're in Box Elder, I would be taking cover at this point. Don't be outside right now. You're under a severe thunderstorm warning until, let me see, until 5:30 Central Time, 4:30 Mountain Time. And this is a very tense thunderstorm. But also, I want to just briefly mention that there's also quite a few other thunderstorms going on. We got one in southeastern Montana. We also have one in northeastern Wyoming. As we pan over here towards kind of these thunderstorms in northern Nebraska, northwest Nebraska. And there is some thunderstorms here getting going. I would keep my eye on these as well, because they are, especially with this one near Baseline with an inch in diameter hail core. I would not be surprised at all if this eventually becomes strong to severe, or becomes severe warned, as well as this storm with an inch, 0.75 inches in diameter of hail being picked up by Doppler radar there in Cherry County, Nebraska, as that will pivot towards Valentine eventually. But I do want to focus back now on this storm here just to the northeast of Rapid City. There is a brand new severe thunderstorm warning. Here's the Doppler radar, by the way, where we have it just to the north of New Underwood. So this storm is going to eventually pass. It's going to eventually hit our Doppler radar. I'm hoping that that doesn't cause any issues there with maybe some outages from our Doppler radar. But there is two well-defined hook features. It's a very strong thunderstorm, and we've been continuing to see a very classic hook signature. Kind of right in there is kind of one of the, that's the main area we are focused on and concerned about right now, just to the northwest of Rapid Valley by a couple miles here. But also there's another little area here just to the west of Box Elder. I will keep my eye on it because it is showing a little bit of an inflow notch there, but I would be more concerned down here on the most south part of this storm right here, where you see that little hook feature there, and you can see the inflow notch coming in. So yeah, I would not be. I'm not trying to cause any panic, but I would not be surprised at all if this becomes tornado warned, and that is in fact why I came on here, to kind of get ahead of that. Because not only is it a very dangerous storm with very large hail possible and some strong winds, but now, we've been seeing consistent on the radar of kind of a hook feature. So I would not be surprised at all if it becomes tornado warned at some point here. We also have a report of a thunderstorm wind gust of 51 miles per hour right in Rapid City. So that Rapid City didn't even get the hardest hit part of the storm either, but it's still showing a hook feature here as the new sweep of the radar comes in, and you can really see let's go back to the velocity here. When you see these bright greens feeding into the storm, it's kind of what we look for. And it's not really a very intense hook feature to it, but it's just definitely something to be a little bit concerned about and worried about here. But here we go. Let's take a look at the new severe thunderstorm warning. This is a pretty broad area. It includes now New Underwood, Caputa, Farmingdale, Green Valley, Box Elder, Rapid Valley, all included in this new severe thunderstorm warning. Let's take a look at this here. And this one is, well, let's take a look at the counties. So it's in south central Meade County, in west central South Dakota, northeastern Custer County, in southwestern South Dakota, central Pennington County, in west central South Dakota. So those are all the counties involved, and this goes until 5:15 Mountain Time, 6:15 Central Time. So this is going to be going for another 55 minutes or so. I'm not sure if I will stay on that long. We will have to see what happens here. But so basically, about 5 minutes ago, a severe thunderstorm was located over northern Rapid Valley, or 5 miles east of Rapid City. This storm is moving east at 15 miles per hour, so it's still going the same speed as it was earlier. And still with the same threats here, ping pong ball sized tail and 60 mile an hour wind gust, according to Doppler radar. So if you're in any of these areas, New Underwood, Box Elder, I would be in New Underwood. I would start to really pay attention, head inside, start taking your precautions. Even if there's not a tornado, there's still some wicked weather possibilities as it heads into your area, with obviously the very large hail and some damaging winds. I have noticed though this hail core thankfully has been coming down a little bit. I know I said a little bit earlier it was up to 3 inches in diameter according to Doppler radar. It is now almost half that, 1.75 inches in diameter now. So that's a good sign there. But I'm still quite a bit concerned about this hook feature that we've been seeing on radar kind of right over Rapid Valley. I mean, this is a very intense thunderstorm. And you look over here to the north, this storm right here is really weakened. I think the storm down towards Rapid City really killed off this energy that was on this storm, because if you take a look earlier, let me play the loop for you, and there it is right there. It was a very intense thunderstorm. It was at one point much stronger than the storm that was just west of Rapid City. But right over there towards Deadwood is really when it got going, and Whitewood, and eventually moved right through Sturgis, and Sturgis got a very strong thunderstorm through the area. And for a time too, that also had a hook feature to it, just to the south of Sturgis. But as it progressed to the east, it kind of lost its energy, and I think that was due in part to the fact that this storm down here farther to the south really killed its energy. And you typically see that with thunderstorms, especially with limited moisture supply like we have here. The storms that are more farther to the south are the ones that typically become much stronger and kill off the energy of the storms that are, more to the north of them. But there's still enough energy, clearly, to get these very strong thunderstorms to get going. And so here we go. I mean, there's a very defined big hail core signature on radar as well. And you almost have like a V shape to it. It's not quite a V, but it's fairly close, kind of right in there. But yeah, it's a very strong and intense thunderstorm at this point. So if you're in Green Valley, if you're in, Caputa, Farmingdale, up to New Underwood, if you're in any of these areas, I would definitely be paying attention here very closely, and I would start to take cover. Go inside, be safe in your home. If I'm not going to say you have to go in the basement at this point, because there's not a tornado, there's not a tornado warning or anything like that. But definitely go inside where it's safe. And if you start to get some very large hail or some really strong winds, then yeah, I mean, you probably should go in the basement. But again, there's no tornado warning. Wanted to really emphasize that right now. There is not a tornado warning, but I'm on here to cover, everything else, because we have a very large hail threat. We've had reports. The biggest hail report we've gotten was 1.5 inches in diameter, just to the north of 3 miles north of downtown Rapid City, according to the North Haines Fire Department. There was a couple of other spots as well that had 1.5 inches of sized hail. But as the storm progresses east, it's still in full strength here. I also have another warning that looks like here that we are going to need to cover. So this is a brand new severe thunderstorm warning. This is now in northern Cherry County in Nebraska. It looks like this storm is progressing east here. So do want to cover this now. Doppler radar has indicated 2-inch hail in diameter, but that's according to Doppler radar. That's not what's really happening. That's kind of the ceiling at this point for how big. So that just gives you an idea of how big, what the maximum, length of hail this would be in diameter. So severe thunderstorm warning, northern Cherry County. This one, if you're in Cody, if you're in Nenzell, if you're in Kilgore, anywhere along this highway, I would be seeking some shelter here. This also has a very pronounced hail core with it, and so let's take a look at this warning. Let's see what we have here. So this warning was issued at 5:16 p.m. Central Time, 4:16 Mountain Time. The storm is moving east at 15 miles an hour, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, and quarter-sized hail is what they're saying according to Doppler radar. So that is what we have going on here. Do want to give you a little bit of a storm track here for you that is given. So it's coming through Cody right now, right when it said. But actually, the worst of this storm looks like it's just a little bit southwest of the Cody area. So, but I would still be seeking shelter if I'm in Cody, also with Nenzell and Kilgore. But it does look like the biggest, the most dangerous part of the storm, which is this hail core. If it follows this current track, you see that white line, that's where the storm track, that's where radar thinks the storm is eventually going to go through. According to radar, it looks like it's going to pass just to the south of the Nenzell area and also eventually Kilgore as well. So, but if I'm, I would still be seeking shelter if you are in those areas. If you're along this highway, or especially areas south of the highway here, I would definitely be taking cover at this point. But that's just another thunderstorm we got to keep an eye on here. And just want to quickly look at the velocity. Looks like there's a little bit of rotation, not a very impressive signature by any means, but it's a nice, it's something that we got to keep an eye on. And here's another thing, vertically integrated liquid. So there is another big hail core going on here just to the southwest of Cody at this point. So this is, another storm we got to keep an eye on. So I do want to take a look at this as well. This is storm totals of rainfall. These storms, and look at the rainfall near the Black Hawk area and points east. 3 inches of hail being picked up, 2 to 3 inches in spots here. That is a lot of rainfall total out of this thunderstorm so far. So yeah, I mean, that's good news for these areas that need some rainfall, but it's also a lot of rainfall as well. So it also just to the east of Sturgis, looks like we've got about 2 inches of rain. So yeah, a nice thunderstorm soaking for these areas. But let's go back to radar now, and I do want to just keep focusing in on this area. Box Elder, obviously I said you should have been taking cover by now. This is, Box Elder is getting the worst of this storm right now, with the very large hail that is being picked up on Doppler radar of 2 inches in diameter. That's a good size for hail. And as we continue here with this coverage, we are on the air because of these severe thunderstorms in western South Dakota and also northern Nebraska as well. So we're tracking this here for you here live on YouTube. So it looks like also here in southeast Montana, if we switch radars a bit, or it looks like there is a pretty strong thunderstorm here, and looking at the velocity too, there might be a little bit of rotation in that storm as well, but that one we might have to keep an eye on because it eventually will progress into South Dakota if it keeps going on its current path. So, but again, these storms are not moving very fast. They're only moving about 15 miles per hour at this point. So, so that's what we have going on right now in these areas. Let's take a look at the velocity again. And yeah, so it looks like, you know, I wouldn't be surprised at all if there was a tornado warning issued at some point here on this thunderstorm. But it looks like for the time being, I just wanted to update you folks that live, you know, might be watching this and living in western South Dakota. You know, kind of the, you know, here, let's hold on a second. I'm going to look at a couple of things here behind the scenes. But yes, so we have these thunderstorms that are going on here in western South Dakota, just to the east of Rapid City. I apologize. I was looking at a few things here behind the scenes. Looks like there's quite a few storms that are getting going here in central and north central Nebraska. There's also one in particular, Cherry County, northern Cherry County here, just to the west of Valentine here. Severe thunderstorm warning. Did want to go over this. And this is in effect. And again, moving east at 15 miles an hour, 60 mile an hour wind gust, quarter-sized tail. This is in effect until 6 p.m. Central Time, 5 o'clock Mountain Time. But this is the primary area of concern, is on this storm right here. But for now, I'm going to take a break here. I will be back here in a couple minutes. Okay, so here we go. Let's take a look here at this storm here. Just to the east of Rapid City. Again, severe thunderstorm warning. Ping pong ball sized hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds still being the threats out of this storm. And this storm will be in effect until 5:15 p.m. Mountain Time, 6:15 Central Time. So, very nasty storm. Doppler radar is picking up on 2.5 inches in diameter of hail size. Again, that is not what's actually happening. That is what Doppler radar is picking up according to the radar, what this storm is producing. So, very nasty storm. Again, if you're in New Underwood or Capita or down to Farmingdale, if you're in any one of these areas or near these areas or in between these towns, I would be taking cover because this is a very strong and intense storm as it progresses to the east, and it looks like it's now starting to take a little bit of a southeast track. I know the Weather Service was saying moving east, which it is, but it's also shifting a little bit southeast as well. So didn't want to point that out. As you can see, the storm track on this is putting the storm right in between New Underwood and Caputa and over towards Farmingdale. So if you're anywhere in between those towns, please be taking cover at this point. Seek shelter because you're going to have some very strong winds, 60-mile-an-hour winds, maybe even more than that. You're going to have some hail to go along with it, and just not a good place to be outside. Or it started around Nemo, west of Nemo, and progressed east and a little bit of a southeast track as well. So as it makes its way, it looks like the worst of it, thankfully, is going to miss the Doppler radar just to the north of New Underwood, the Doppler site, which is good news there. But and it looks like too, it's still a very intense storm. But it looks like it's kind of lost its hook feature that was on it when it came through. So that's kind of why we came on to, keep viewers, ahead of the game here and make sure that people are being safe here. But I would say at this point, the tornado threat is slim to none, but it's still not impossible. We could see a tornado warning. So, do want to keep that in mind. That's the loop. And again, I was talking about this storm near Sturgis a little bit earlier. It was a very intense storm at one point and really has died out as it made its way east of Sturgis. So that's what we have going on there. I do want to latest volume scan. There we go. So there is a little bit of a symbol here of a tornado signature. Tornado symbol. I'm not sure how accurate that is because it's still a little bit off of the radar, as you can see. Typically what we would look for, it would probably be like right in here, but instead it's down here. So I don't know how accurate that would be, but let's take a look at this storm down towards Nebraska. It is showing a little bit of a signature on radar. Okay, so coming back here, so this severe thunderstorm warning, I do want to pay a little bit more attention to this one as well, as Doppler radar is picking up on 2.25 inch hail, according to Doppler radar. And it looks like there's a little bit of a hook feature, but it's not as pronounced as the one towards Rapid City. But again, I'm going to keep an eye on it for sure as it makes its way east and slightly southeast. That's kind of the track, but it is interesting. This storm here near Batesland is making a northeast track, which is interesting because all these other storms, for the most part, the exception of these, it's weird because some of these storms are moving a little bit southeast and others are moving northeast. It's very interesting, um, you know. But this hook feature that we've been following, and you know, I've been monitoring this very closely, and it looks like it might be starting to gain a little bit of a hook feature back to it, but you know, the latest radar scan. But we need to, you know, we'll have to keep an eye on that. But I think for the time being here, I'm going to step aside. I will still have the radar view up, but I think at this point, you know, I think as new warnings do warrant, I think you know, I'll go back on the air here. But I think for the present time, until we see a tornado warning or some new warnings coming out, I think I'm going to step aside here, and I will talk to you when things start to come back here. So I'll leave the radar view up here as we have it, but for now I will just have this running. So I will see you guys in a little bit. Hello everyone, I did want to break in here very briefly to talk about a new warning that was issued here in southeastern Montana. Um, it does concern me here a little bit. There's a severe thunderstorm warning for central Carter County in southeastern Montana. This goes until 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time. Um, This storm is moving east at about 15 miles per hour, but here's where I'm a little bit concerned here. 60-mile-an-hour-per-hour wind gusts, but also half-dollar sized hail. Now that is the biggest size that we've seen out of all these storms that are going on right now. That's the largest hail that we've seen. And as this storm continues to progress eastward, it's eventually going to move into South Dakota here. So I wanted to keep an eye on this storm as well, just add this to another list, or to the list of these storms that we need to keep an eye on, because this is eventually going to work its way in South Dakota at its current projection. So just wanted to touch base on that quickly here. So again, half-dollar sized hail possible with this storm. So very dangerous. Luckily, there's not a whole lot of cities or towns around this area. It's very, looks like just some farmland or some hills or whatever. So, but yeah, just wanted to come in briefly and talk about this storm as well. But also, we still have this storm on just to the east of Rapid City. Been looking at velocity, still nothing real strong yet, but again, we're going to continue to keep an eye on it. And this one as well, West Valentine. Not great velocity data, but we'll keep an eye on it. So that's the latest here. Again, I will step aside here again, and I will have a live. Oh, hold on a second. Just as I say that, do want to now turn my attention to this storm. So we now have 4 severe thunderstorm warnings that we need to keep an eye on here. So we have a new severe thunderstorm warning, and this one is moving northeast. This one is near Batesland, a little bit northeast. So this is the newest severe thunderstorm warning. Now in southwestern Jackson County, in southwestern South Dakota, northwestern Bennett County, here in southwestern South Dakota, and this new warning goes until 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time, 6:30 Central Time. So at 5:46 p.m. Central Time, 4:46 Mountain Time, severe thunderstorm is located 6 miles northwest of Sweat, moving northeast at about 25. So this one is moving a little bit faster. And I would keep my eye on this storm as well, because it has a hail core signature, and quarter-sized hail is being picked up, so it's not really a wind threat. According to Doppler radar, it is more of a hail threat out of this storm, out of this particular storm. And that's really the first storm that we've seen where it's like that, where there's not really a wind threat, it's more hail. So so definitely keep an eye on this area if you were in Allen or up towards Hissel. If you're in any one of those two towns, please be taking shelter at this point. Also, if you're in Snake Butte, I would also be taking cover as well. So just wanted to talk about that. Also, as we come back to this storm is still strong, and it looks like it is starting to weaken to the very slightest. It's still a very intense thunderstorm, but we saw hail signatures up to 3-inch diameter a little bit earlier. So it looks like now it's down to about 1.5 inches. It's that in half. So so we got a lot of thunderstorms going on right now, and definitely stuff to keep an eye on, as we have 4 severe thunderstorm warnings. So that's going to do it here for now. I will send you off, but still keep an eye on these storms if you're in any one of these areas, and I will still have the radar picture up for everyone. But as of right now, there is 4 severe thunderstorm warnings, but we are going to... So I'm going to step aside here for a little while. So again, 4 severe thunderstorm warnings going on. I would say the most dangerous storm is probably the storm down west of Valentine. I think this one has taken its spot, but all 4 of these are dangerous. So please be seeking shelter if you're in any one of those areas. But I will step aside here, and I will be back on as conditions do warrant. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Or I'd like to welcome myself back. So we have. I do want to cover these storms here briefly again. Do want to announce that this storm here to the west of Valentine, that warning has expired, but I think they're going to reissue that severe thunderstorm warning to the west of Valentine here. Doppler radars indicated hail over 2 inches in diameter, so I would not be surprised whatsoever if that gets extended, or if they reissue that severe thunderstorm warning. Might even include Valentine, we'll see. But we have this severe thunderstorm warning in Allen. If you're in Allen or Hissel, I would be taking cover. Allen should have already been taking shelter at this point. But that storm is going on, moving at a northeast track. And then as we look at this storm, it's going fairly strong. It is a little bit weaker compared to what it was before, but it still has a very defined hail core here and if you're in New Underwood, you're probably getting some very heavy rain and probably even some hail. So that's what we have going on there. And then as we track here in southeastern Montana, this storm also is pretty intense. Has a hail core as well. It's moving southeast at about, or east-southeast at about 20 miles per hour. So this one is picking up a little bit of steam, and I think eventually we'll end up in South Dakota if it keeps going strong. So we have quite a few thunderstorms, three severe thunderstorm warnings at the moment. There was 4 just a moment ago, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if there was 4 eventually here. I'll quickly go through some of these products here that we use. See who is the winner for largest hail core at this point. I would say it's down here, probably here towards Valentine, just west of Valentine, Nebraska. This is a very hail core at this point. Over 2 inches in diameter being picked up by Doppler radar. This is what we're talking about. So very large hail there. Also, change radars here. We'll go towards Allen area. There's also a pretty big little hail core there just the southwest of Allen as it moves into Allen. Be prepared for some large hail associated with that storm. And also here in between New Underwood and Farmingdale, there is still a pretty big hail core going on with this storm as well. So and also there's another storm going on here that has developed just to the south of Rapid City. I do need to keep an eye on this one because if it keeps going as it is, it's developing fairly quickly and it might end up becoming severe at some point here down the road. I also want to again briefly mention this one here in southeastern Montana, as we're seeing $half sized hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds possible with this storm. Do want to see how fast this one is moving. And this one has also picked up with steam. It's moving east at 20 now. It was moving at 15, so starting to move a little bit faster here as it progresses east. And yeah, I was a little bit concerned about this storm here in Rapid City, and yeah, I figured if it kept going, it was eventually going to grow into a severe thunderstorm. And yep, we now have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning here in central Pennington County in west central South Dakota. This goes until 5:45 p.m. Mountain Time, 6:45 Central Time. And it is located near Rapid Valley. So Rapid Valley, if you missed the last storm, you're going to most likely not be able to miss this one. And this is in effect moving east-southeast at 20 miles per hour, and it looks like quarter-sized hail is the primary threat of this storm. So, I mean, there could be some gusty winds out of this as well, but it looks like the main threat is quarter-sized hail. And also, do want to mention this, torrential rainfall is occurring with this storm and may lead to flash flooding as well. So there is another threat here, not only with the hail, also winds below 50 miles an hour. Like I said, there still could be some some strong wind gusts, but not severe by any stretch of the imagination. So that's what we have going on there in that storm. So some flash flooding concerns there. Also wanted to see if there's any flooding issues with this storm. It doesn't look like it. So I think the reason why this storm has a threat of flash flooding is because this area already went through this storm. This storm already made its way through the Rapid City area, and now we have another storm going through the same exact area. So that is why there is a new threat of flash flooding in these areas: Rapid Valley, Green Valley, over to Caputa, also, eventually Farmingdale. So that is what we have going on in that area. Again, I wonder if at some point here this storm is going to end up being severe. I think it's just a matter of time at this point for this storm to become severe. As Doppler radar is showing, this is a much more intense thunderstorm than this one, and this storm does have a severe storm warning on it. So I would not be surprised at all if at some point here this one becomes severe warned. Also, don't want to ignore these storms down here, as there is quite a few other severe thunderstorms going on down here towards central and southwestern Nebraska. So storms going on down there as well. But this is kind of the main focus that we're concerned about as it makes its way in an east-southeast track. So also this one here in Montana, as it moves southeast. Did want to touch base here with some velocity data. Yeah, there's a little bit, not a whole lot. But that's probably the most impressive area of rotation that we've seen out of any of these storms yet. I wonder if maybe towards the Allen area there's a little bit, but not a whole lot. So that's about it for now. Again, just severe thunderstorm warnings going on, and this is kind of the newest storm. And now I do want to bring this up as well before I go off here. At 5:06, so a couple of minutes ago, this is now gaining strength, and this is interesting because if it keeps moving faster, it's going to end up getting caught up with this thunderstorm here near Farmingdale. So very interesting. This one's only moving east at 20. This one is moving east at 30. So you do the math on that one, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that eventually, at this current projection, this storm is going to eventually merge with this storm. And it'll be interesting to see what will happen at that point with these two storms when they merge. Are they going to gain even more strength, or are they going to kill each other off? It'll be interesting to see what happens. But that's what we have going on. And also, I do want to mention this. With this storm, they updated this a few minutes ago, and they are now saying golf ball-sized hail. And also, trained weather spotters have also reported golf ball-sized hail in and near Rapid City. So wanted to throw that out there. For Rapid Valley, I would say, because ball-sized hail that is possible out of this storm. So wanted to give you some updates there. Again, I will continue to bring updates to you viewers here as updates come in. I know at some point there's going to be some lull moments, but it's at some point I will be back on here, and as conditions warrant, as we continue to get updates, I will bring them to you. So I will step aside, and I will continue to show the radar here, the radar view up here. So, but for the time being, also before I go, I did want to throw this out there. This is the largest hail that we have gotten here. Out of any reports that we've had today, this is now the largest, and it is 4 miles northeast of Farmingdale, from a storm chaser reporting hail in diameter of 1.75 inches. Now, how big is that? That is golf ball sized hail. So 1.75 inches in diameter is golf ball sized hail. So golf ball sized hail being reported 4 miles northeast of Farmingdale. So did want to throw that out there. So this storm is starting to gain its strength back even more than it was already. So that is a very dangerous storm as it pivots to the east and southeast. Luckily, it looks like, other than maybe the exception of Awanka, looks like the good news there is it's projecting a little bit southeast. There's not a whole lot of cities around here, as you can see by the terrain here. There's not a whole lot of cities. Maybe there's quite a few hills, and there is a little bit of farmland too. So, but that is about it for now. Again, I will be back on as conditions warn as we get new updates. But for now, I will sign off here, and I will keep the radar picture up. So just keep an eye on the weather and keep an eye on things if you're in western, southwestern South Dakota. Also, if you're in southeastern Montana and northwestern South Dakota as well. And also in northern Nebraska. Just pay attention to the forecast. Watch your local news stations as they will have their bottom of the screen updates as well. So that's about it for now. I will sign off, and I will keep the radar picture up. Thank you. everyone, I am back, and I want to give you one final update here before I sign off for the night. As it is that the tornado threat, if there was any in this area, has subsided, which is good news. So just want to give one last final update here. There's still, as you can see, some severe thunderstorms going on in western and southwestern South Dakota, and also northwestern South Dakota as well. Southeastern Montana, there's a cell here, and then here in South Dakota, I'll run through these here one more time. So at 7:48 p.m. Central Time, 6:48 Mountain Time, a severe thunderstorm located near Gustavus, 27 miles southwest of Buffalo, is moving east at 35 miles an hour. So it's picking up some strength and some speed. 60 mile an hour wind gusts and half-dollar sized hail are the main threats out of this storm. So that is, half-dollar sized hail is a pretty large hailstone. So definitely, if you are in Harding, probably gonna miss the bulk of that storm. There is a pretty good hail core going on. If you're in Redig, though, if you're in the town of Redig, South Dakota, please be taking cover at this point. As we pivot down here towards Hermosa and Fairburn, here in southwestern South Dakota, let's run through this warning here. So this one is for eastern Custer County in southwestern South Dakota, south central Pennington County in west central South Dakota. This is in effect until 7:45 p.m. Mountain Time, 8:45 Central Time. So this storm is moving east at 30 miles an hour. Golf ball sized hail and 60 mile an hour winds are being indicated here by Doppler radar. So that one's a little bit of an intense storm. Did want to check the velocity here quickly. It looks like there might be a little bit, but not a whole lot. Looks like there was an update to this warning, by the way. So I'm going to looks like they're going to cancel this warning right here, if I'm not mistaken. That would be it. Excuse me. So this one, 3 miles north of Fairburn. So this one is the hazard here is quarter-sized hail. And it's in effect until 8:45, so another half hour. It'll be going through Fairburn. So if you're in the Fairburn area, please be taking cover at this point. Also, if you're in Red Shirt, South Dakota, I would be beginning your preparations to seek shelter. I know it's getting later in the evening and people want to be outside, but if you're in Red Shirt, or especially Fairburn, but also Red Shirt, please be taking cover at this point for some quarter-sized hail, and if it keeps growing, possibly even worse hazards. And how about this storm? This storm has been going on for quite a long time. This was the exact storm that it started around the Nemo area, a little bit northwest of Nemo, and it continued to just progress east and southeast, went through Rapid City. And yeah, that warning that was right, that was the one that I thought it was going to be expired, and it is. So that one is expired, replaced by this warning. As we take a look at this one is in effect until 9 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Mountain Time. So another 45 minutes on this warning. How about this? 70 mile an hour wind gusts and half-dollar sized hail. That's the worst threat we've seen all night out of any storm. So this. I want to point this out. There's a little bit of rotation with the storm here near the Redig area. So if you're right in and around, around this area, Redig, please be taking cover at this point. So we have 3 severe thunderstorm warnings going on right now in South Dakota. It's been fairly persistent. We've had this supercell that's been up, just southwest of Buffalo. And then there's also, this one kind of developed. As we look at the loop, And this one though has been going on for quite a long time, and now it is moving. You know, if you're in Potato Creek, you should have already been taking cover at this point. If you're in Hissel, Long Valley, Patricia, if you're in any of those 3 towns or in and around this whole area, please be taking shelter at this point, as it is a pretty dangerous storm as it'll continue. So that's about it here. The storms are just going to continue to progress east and southeast. So for all the coverage through plus hours, you're trying to keep you safe. You know, in case you're watching this from western South Dakota at all. Just again, please be keeping an eye on the forecast, as these storms will continue to roll east over the next several hours. But it looks as of right now, there hasn't been any tornado warnings or any kind of tornado threats at all this evening, which is good. But just wanted to keep people safe still, because there was still the threat of large hail and strong winds. So that's going to wrap things up here with this stream. I will see you later. Thank you very much.